Hello everyone, I am Tacit, and today I'm going to be going over the Gems of War event objectives for the Noble Prize event in which the Elven Noble is added to the game. So this week of course starts the 2-week long Halloween event, where you'll be able to go and get the troop the corresponding pet and the old Halloween armor. If you haven't already got it, all you have to do is use purple teams for it, and you are good to go. Beyond that, there is 2 other pretty noteworthy things happening this week. The first of which being, there we go. The first of which being, we have a Vault event this weekend. So of course this Friday, Saturday, Sunday, best time to be grinding. Going and quick kill and explore, doing PvP, whatever else, just go anywhere where gnomes reside. And you'll be able to get a ton of vault keys leading to a bunch of gems, various keys, and other various loot. But the other thing that's actually relevant for once is the kingdom specifically of the week. It is Silverglade. And while Silverglade doesn't have necessarily the best of options, one thing that is relevant for it is we already know November's event calendar. And because we know this, Guild Wars for next Guild War, assuming it's not delayed due to the issues that the most recent Guild War had with matchmaking, but assuming it's not delayed, it is planned for November 6th. And with that being said, of course, since it is a Silverglade event, and we have a Silverglade event key this week, it is a pretty good idea if you don't currently have a good composition for your Silverglade team to go and event key this week, as you'll be able to go and target a bunch of stuff, get everything you need, and then by the time the event rolls around by November 6th or whenever they delay it to, you will have yourself a nice solid Silverglade team. So if you don't currently have one, you can use the vault keys from this weekend or any keys you already have laying around in order to, by the end of Sunday, get yourself a team, because on Monday reset you will not be able to go for it anymore, and this is the last opportunity to get something good for that event week there. So that would also be pretty nice to do this week if you are missing those options. With that being said, we might as well start with the Halloween event. So you can find it all the way over here. Make sure to do this every single day. This is a daily, one of the few that you do have to do every single day, otherwise you do lose the rewards for the next 14 days here. It is pretty straightforward and pretty quick though. You just have to use a purple team and just kill out these battles. Doesn't matter which one you take, just take any of them, and keep whenever it gives you an option to move forward or backwards, assuming you have the stats to keep moving forward, so that you can keep getting more stats or more points per battle. Beyond that, as far as things that you're looking for, you're mostly trying to get 1 of the troop, 6 of the pet, which would be 700 total in order to get the golden version of it, and a power orb and the witch's armor if you want to go and get it from the past season. The biggest 2 priority being the dark oracle and the wagon, the gold pet of which have never returned for any of them for free, as they've always been money locked after. But you'll need 700 to get the golden wagon, 400 for the troop to basically get access to it for a few months early. The witch armor, if you still want to get it from one of the past years, is 500, and the orb of power is 800. To be able to get everything, as long as you keep up with the daily, it's only 50 gems per day, with one day being 150 if you plan on also getting the witch armor. Otherwise, if you're only planning on getting the other 3, it will come out to 50 per day, with the last like 2 or 3 days where you don't end up needing to spend 50 gems. And of course, if you want to get just these, I think you would have to do 50 for like a week, not even, and then you're good to go if you don't want to even bother messing with the power orb, though it is the cheapest you can ever get power orb. Of course, we got Maelstrom Dagganoff earlier this week, or earlier this year, I mean. So if you haven't already picked that up, or any of the other power orb mythics, good time to get your basically free power orb. It's only a few hundred gems effectively, which is the cheapest you can ever get a power orb. So if you're still looking to get that for anything, definitely make sure to do so. And of course, with other events around the corner, like the Christmas event when that comes around, relatively soon, you'll be able to go and get another power orb to go for that, to hopefully get to the 8 you need for anything to go and craft. Beyond that, was I going to mention with the other thing? I think that was it. All right, let's go into all the teams. So we have a handful of teams that we went and made last night. Was unfortunately too tired to go record the video then, but we'll have it up by noon today. Anyways, invasions. So invasion is an elf restriction. It is the same as always. You're up against 1 tower, 2, then 3, then 4. For the early fights, you might want to go with something that hits all enemies. Of course, whenever we show these teams, these are composed for when you're up to the 4 tower fights. With that being said, since it is a elf restriction, one thing that is really good to do, which is not available this week unless you get him randomly from the Glory Gem Guild or VIP chest, but as far as targetable, he's not available this week, is King of Elan. If you happen to have him, he is a 50% mana start to all elves. Really solid troop. Ends up having backup resummon, does some damage to all enemies, and most notably, of course, with a pure elf team, you're doing 50% mana start to your entire team. Beyond that, we are just using the 2 invasion troops from past invasions. Well, one from a past invasion, one from this invasion. You do have to use this one, the Sayo Bon. This is important as you end up getting him from, what, 210 gems, I believe, throwing it to the event. You also get the weapon along the way from that. But using him on your team doesn't need to be upgraded, but simply having him on your team will end up giving you the maximum amount of double points. However, sending him, of course, does end up increasing his damage, and he does have double magic, so he'll have substantially more damage than the other option as far as one-shotting. He also has an HP boost ratio to give him some more damage as well. Unfortunately, it's at a 10-to-1. He is shinyable, so I assume it goes down to like a 6-to-1. But honestly, even if it was a 1-to-1, I'm not sure you'd be using him outside this event. But if nothing else, at least he has a little bit more base damage than what you otherwise would have. With right now, we're also getting about 17 damage with him not shiny at all. As far as the other one, of course, there were actually 2 of them that are available for this game mode that were past shinies. So if you happen to have gotten them to a higher shiny level, most people will probably just have them at 1 if you didn't bother going deeper than that. However, that's still 1 lower mana cost, still helps out a lot. And otherwise, you're just using them for their quick ability and 5x skull damage. Beyond that, we're using an Empower into Daughter of Yasmin, though you could offset for Hero, of course, if you want. Or you can just kind of speed it around up a bit just to do that red to green convert. Get our mana accumulation right off the bat with a double green banner, and we're good to go. As far as the lower rated team, we end up using the other one that was shinyable, the Han Zin. It does full mana block, but we are doing a double yellow-green converter, so it ends up working out pretty well. And this one also has a little bit of score reduction, similar to the new guy, actually. He also ends up having a little bit of score reduction, which is ideal. The only big issue here is mana overlap, but of course that isn't as much of an issue, because we have not just 1 troop that has green convert, but 2 troops with green convert. Which you could also, of course, offset with Hero if you want to go and have Hero on it, if you need class XP or just want to have more coloration onto your team. But we're just using double green convert in order to go feed to an old invasion troop and a new invasion troop. The new invasion troop basically being required, as it will be the thing that will be the source of your double score. As far as the faction event, this is a brown-purple faction. This faction is actually really, really noteworthy in that tomorrow, specifically Tuesday, from the reset time tomorrow until, you know, the end of or Wednesday reset time, make sure within 16 hours and whatever this timer says, within that 24-hour period, make sure to get yourself the life and death weapon from this. You can either get it in Soulforge once it shows up. It won't be in Soulforge now. But if you go to Soulforge tomorrow, during that duration, you'll be able to get life and death. You can also get it for gems through this event when it comes around. But you want to make sure to get the life and death weapon. It is among one of the top 10 weapons in the game. It has fallen off a little bit, especially if you have like the rupee weapon or something similar. But it's still a really good tank weapon. It has a double true life steal. It has double death mark. It has bless into enchant into itself. It is a very, very, very solid weapon for survivability. And you might not use it as much in the current state of the game, but it's still a really strong option that you want to have. And it is only available like once or twice a year. And that tomorrow, during this duration, you know, once that ends up happening for 24 hours, it will be available. So make sure to get it, even if you don't plan to use it much initially. It's still nice to have as a utility item, as you will eventually bring it out for something, as it's just a really solid hero weapon for not dying. Beyond that, yeah, we're going over teams. So those are brown-purple restriction. Make sure to go get the weapon on Tuesday, tomorrow. But as far as the lower rarity team, pretty standard Atlanta quick kill. We're just using Leprechaun in Atlanta. Honestly, you could even use this for the, event if you want to. Just go 3 Atlanta into Leprechaun until it stops working, and then go whatever else. Really good for the earlier battles as well. But yeah, if you want to go do this for the purple event, for the Halloween event for the next week, and then switch to one of the other teams that we showed earlier for that, you'll be good to go. But of course, it also works for the low-level faction area. And then we switch to a real team. So as far as the higher level rarity team, we're just going Maelstrom Dagannoth. We have access to brown and purple, which means we have access to brown, which means we have access to Maelstrom Dagannoth. There's a really good insta-kill troop if you don't already have these kind of insta-kill troops. Of course, there's a power orb available through the Halloween event, as well as other events coming up soon, so make sure to go get yourself one. If you're going to craft any of the 4 power orb mythics, it is definitely Maelstrom Dagannoth. It's not even close these days, so make sure to go pick them up if you haven't already earlier this year. As far as pure faction for this place, we end up going with a Bone Golem that you can double up if you want. We went with the Necrocorn just to have a little bit extra mana accumulation. Also, Cleanse and Bless if we want to go and bolster up our one singular Bone Golem. And then we're just doing what you would normally do with a place like this, as well as pretty good for other various game modes like Underspire if you need this week, which is this Vanya spam. Has a decent amount of AoE damage, it even has a boost ratio that isn't awful, has backup Silverglade, Silver Necropolis resummon, so if your first lot dies, it can actually resummon the exact same troop, potentially, 1 in 4 chance. But most notably, it blesses a random ally per extra turn, so you can bless up your entire team, one of the few alternatives that you can end up using instead of Wand of Stars in order to gain bless. Though, of course, in a restriction like this, you obviously can't use Wand of Stars, but I mean just generally speaking, a alternative to Blessed from Wand of Stars. As far as Archmage's class event is concerned, we're just going with pretty kind of similar team, honestly, where we're doing Black Manacle as our main damage, and then Princess Elspeth to kill one of your Vanyas in order to get yellow and purple, in which case you will automatically get something to go and kill with. You can even go this way if you really want to. Actually, it might even be better this way because you don't really need to cast her more than once, more likely. So this will end up giving your Vanya you need. You use Princess Elspeth to kill your last slot. This ends up creating yellow and purple. Purple will give both of these likely to full mana, at least your Black Manacle, and yellow would end up giving Vanya to full mana, and this is most likely enough to one-shot the battle, or if nothing else, at least if you get both of them up, it'll guarantee be enough to two-shot the battle. As far as Underspire, this is simply just Silverglade. You're allowed to use anything in the Silverglade Kingdom. With that being said, you can use Princess Elspeth to kill your immortal Selene. I'm not sure this is actually something we had available the last time we had a Bright Forest event, because this came in like, what, 3-4 PvP events ago, and of course with how rare kingdoms come around, it's been a while since we've had Silverglade. However, you can use Princess Elspeth to kill immortal Selene. Someone brought this up on stream the other night, and I never really thought about that because that's obviously not how you used to use Princess Elspeth at all in the past. You used to just use her on a single pure color common troop, like something like, you know, just like any pure color troop. But because there are things that have immune to insta-kill, you can just use it on that and they won't die. So you can use all the benefits that Immortal Selene has between her enchant gem, the triple true damage, everything else like that, and end up getting one of her colors. It'll be blue, purple, or brown, in which case that's not bad. Makes blue and purple, of course, both feed into the Gem Dragon, which is the highest damage source option from the location. Unfortunately, Gem Dragon and not Celestial or Flower. However, Gem Dragons are still fine. They still do a pretty hefty amount of damage, even though they are way lower than the other two. So you can use this. It's really tanky, too. 55% score reduction, even comes with its own Storm, so it's not bad. Still ends up scaling up as well. Not as good as the other two, but still a pretty solid option. If it does end up dying, you have resummon off of Emerald Blade as well as your main mana accumulation after your Princess Elspeth. You just have to go take some green to end up getting it up, which is why we have our banner set to green so that we could two-turn it. Just go for green twice and we'll be good to go. You don't want to do that on red because it's being blocked, of course. And we want to do it on purple just so we can get both of them up as much as possible. We even use an Archmage's hero class in order to maximize our amount of bonuses. We end up gaining a ton of magic for having pure Silverglade, so definitely worth considering. Beyond that, this class also has... Oh, never mind. I lied. I was going to say it also has extra stats this week. No, it doesn't. Wait, what does have extra stats this week, then? How on earth does the hero class for the event week have 0 extra stats? It almost never happens. What is the stats? Oh, it's elves and knights. Why? Because if I'm not mistaken, it counts as, what, a mystic? Yeah, it's elves and knights, which, of course, it is neither of those two things. Normally, it does it based on what the new glory troop is, but normally that glory troop has at least, you know, like one overlap with that. But, well, obviously other than Kingdom. But, yeah, that's kind of unfortunate. That's a little unfortunate. But, yeah, we don't actually get any stats effects for using Archmages. However, Archmage is still an insanely good hero class. That doesn't really matter too much. As far as the lower rarity team, oh, never mind, we already went over that. But yeah, lower rarity team for the, oh, no, we didn't go over this one. It just looks kind of similar to the other one. But the low level team is basically the pure faction team, except you replace the mana accumulator with your hero. You replace it with Emerald Blade. This is a way better mana accumulator than you otherwise would have from the Kingdom. Plus, it allows you to run the hero class to be able to get all those bonuses and everything, as well as the +3 magic that you end up getting, or sorry, the +3 purple that you end up getting from running the hero class of Archmages. And then you just double up on Vanya. If you want, you can also replace out for a 4th troop here to get even more stats. However, double Vanya just for the extra damage pressure will probably win more often for Underspire, especially once you start getting to the deeper locations, as you'll probably have enough survivability with Bone Golem and Emerald Blade, so everything else is just for damage beyond that. As far as the Halloween event, we mentioned earlier, you could run a purple team, you could run Atlanta Quick Kill. For the highest rarity team, you could of course run just Flower Dragon. And for the really earlier battles, you might want to run Triple Pharaoh into the Chrysathanax instead of running it that way. But we were just going to run it like this for, or you know, for the copy paste. But of course, for the really early fights, if you have a 3rd mana accumulator, even throw a Leprechaun there or something similar. And then for the later fights, you might want a little bit more tankability by putting it into a different order. And for the lower rarity team, we went with a somewhat Atlanta build. But of course, you can go all in with Atlanta. Literally just triple Atlanta into Leprechaun, and you'll be good to go for a lot of the battles until you find that you start dying on them. But that should be able to last like half the event, at least for the next week, if nothing else. But anyways, that's all the teams, all which will be in the description below if you want to go and copy, paste any of them. Dailies, there is the relevant thing of the little path over here. You just have to, what do you have to actually do for this one? You just have to kill brown enemies. For the events, this should get done automatically if you just do various dailies and everything. This will be required in order to go get enough copies of the pet in order to be able to max it. You do need to get at least one extra copy. Next week, you will likely be able to also get this one copy. However, best is to get it this week just in case it doesn't return next week. Sometimes they end up doing something else or do some kind of major glitch with it ever so occasionally. So, yeah, good idea to try to get it done this week. But just standard daily should get it done automatically. Otherwise, just go to any location with all brown and you should be good to go. One of which being Keyzale, of course, if you need a location for that. Beyond that, Soulforge. I haven't actually looked at Soulforge earlier. Anything good here? Yasmin's chosen. Oh, that's funny. Well, I guess there is a way to target him this week. Never mind. It's normally not worth throwing 800 diamonds to go get him. But if you truly wanted a King Avalon, never mind. Scratch that from earlier. He is in Soulforge. He is a 50% mana start to all elves. So if you want to use him for the invasion event, it's a little overkill spending 800 diamonds on him. But you can also use them for things like Guild War defense, stuff like that. So it's not awful to spend 800 diamonds on it, but generally speaking, you don't ever really want to spend 800 diamonds on any legend other than Tesla, as you're going to have every legend in the game way, way, way before you have every Mythic in the game. So it's best to spend your diamonds on Mythic specifically rather than Legends. But 50% Elf, really relevant this week, so there is that. Also, speaking of 50%, might as well bring up Sir Quentin Hadley. He's a really good troop that's used for 50% knights. Really rarely used, but obviously if you're restricted to a knight build, similar to when you're restricted to an elf build, it is pretty solid. Both of them are kind of in that same category, though I do have to say that elf one is probably a little bit better. If you are going to craft a real option this week, oh! It has returned. Okay, well, the strongest option you can craft this week is the Wild King. The Wild King is by far the best skull option pretty much in the game overall. It enrages all allies, which is insanely good, while also giving all allies attack, which is also insanely good. It basically makes every single thing on your team equally as strong, assuming nothing has a skull multiplier. Though, of course, the skull multiplier troops gain even more of a benefit from this. But then creates a mix of yellow and skulls. Yellow feeds back to himself. Skulls feeds into the fact that you're doing 1 billion damage and that everything on your team does 1 billion damage. He's really good in 3rd or 4th slot, because even as your team dies and every single thing ends up dying to the reflect skulls or, you know, all the skulls that get hit back, from the inevitable turns that he's missing from freeze and everything else, you're still making every single thing on your team super ridiculously strong. So having a bunch of cleanse to go with them on something else on your team, and then just spamming this over and over and over again, just tear apart the enemy team. And even if you lose troops, your next troop is basically just as strong as your previous troop. You just keep spamming him over and over again, and yeah, it's really strong skull damage. Ends up having Bone Storm at start of battle too to help it out. And if you're using it with other wild folk, he also gives them a little bit extra magic, including himself for that extra attack gain, which is really nice. However, not in the category of good mythics, but in the category of when on earth are these things going to ever return again? Are they ever going to return? Well, they are finally here. The Lekako Khan. So this thing is very bad. You're never going to use this ever in the history of ever. However, this is the first time ever that has been available for not 25 deed books. And what I mean by that is this is... Oh yeah, one other thing to mention. Good thing this thing was here. I almost would have forgotten to mention it. This is the final week. That's not where you check that. This is the... That's also not where you check that. This is the final week of the current PvP season. Make sure to finish it out or do whatever you want to do for it in order to go and claim whatever rewards you want from it, especially if you bought the pass. Make sure to get that all the way to the 180,000 so that you can go and claim all of your rewards. Otherwise, if you did the free battles, make sure to collect as many of the seasonal things that you can get, because after this week, it'll get reset all the way back down to 0 with the new season. But aside from this being the last week to go do all the season, of course, one other thing that comes with that is a new Legend and Mythic troop that they've been doing. The Mythic troop is never, ever, 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 under any circumstance worth getting. It is 2,500 gold marks, which is the equivalence of 25 deed books, or whatever other thing you want to convert it into. But 25 deed books is way, way, way better than any Mythic in the game. Even, honestly, the strongest Mythics in the game are not worth 25 deed books. So you're pretty much never wanting to be getting this troop. Even if it's insane, having early access to it for like a few months or half a year just isn't worth how much it costs. So I would personally skip on these. However, the one that is worth going for, of course, is the 150,000 silver one. I already picked this one up earlier, but if you get your 150,000 over the course of the 10-week period of a PvP season, you can pick this guy up for 800 diamonds whenever is in this option, and ends up saving you, for 1,500 silver marks, and ends up saving you 800 diamonds in the future from when it eventually rotates in Soulforge. But these never come in through Glory Gem Guild or VIP chests, or any key drop table for that matter. The only only way to get them in the future for some reason is specifically to get them in diamonds from soulforge. Of course, later in the game, you have more diamonds. Where do you check diamonds? You have more diamonds and you never know what to do for. Actually, even if I just convert the thing, how many diamonds do we get just from our convert? Just our convert alone is like, what is that? Like 7 mythics? 8 mythics? But you eventually have more diamonds than you ever know what to do with. But even if you don't, just saving the 25 deed books is just so nice. But anyways, yeah, this guy has, we can actually check our unowned, has never rotated until now. If we go check unowned, we should see him somewhere in this mess. There are many of these that have not rotated yet, with the legends taking even longer to rotate because there's so many more of them. But the mythics have been starting to rotate. We already seen, I believe, one of the other ones, and now we have this one. He doesn't do anything too relevant, just does deal some damage to a random enemy when taking blue gems. Within kingdom synergies, there are almost nothing in the whole kingdom that even creates blue, so it doesn't even get much value. As far as his ability, deals a bunch of damage to all enemies, boosted by freeze gems, while not even creating freeze gems. If there is a storm, it'll deal double damage, and then creates 3 freeze gems. So at least it has it there, if nothing else. But of course, 3 freeze gems being nowhere near enough to end up getting extra turn. It's just a really, really underwhelming trip that you're pretty much never going to use out, unless you're really using a blue spam team and you just want to get that little bit of trip damage in. But beyond that, it is never really going to be worth using. However, from a completionist standpoint, this is the first and only time it has been available for diamonds or anything other than gold marks. So we shall get ourselves our 1 copy of him and go max him out. Even though he is very bad, he is new. So we will take it. Where is he? But yeah, unless you're doing a really absurdly heavy blue team, and even under that circumstance, I'm still not sure you'd want to upgrade him. Also, where on earth is he? Am I blind? I did go upgradable, right? Where is he? We just got him. I know you're here. There you are. Found him. We'll just use a major orange, major green. Not going to bother upgrading him. I believe he is a mage, so he does gain quite a bit of benefit from being upgraded. 6 damage to all enemies. However, I do not plan on using him. Maybe if we need him for one of our upgrades for when we go do the Suncrest Kingdom, I'll go do that. Which, of course, is another thing, too. If you're getting close to your Suncrest upgrades, you know what? Maybe I did just convince myself to go upgrade him. No! Fine, I'll go upgrade him. This gives a permanent +2 attack. It's been the Yellow Kingdom I've been working on lately. It's a decent one to go for because of the +2 permanent attack that you end up getting when you end up getting it up. And I am 2 yellow deed books short. We're almost there. I actually have that within next week. But, yeah, you know what? We'll upgrade him. See, he actually did do something. He helped us upgrade his kingdom. Since he's a high rarity troop, I want base rarity, not upgradable. We'll do it in base rarity. Fine, we'll upgrade him. He is a mage, so he does gain 6 magic. So he is not horrible to upgrade. Like in a circumstance where you're using him, he is worth upgrading. 6 magic is quite substantial. And now he does slightly less than 0 damage. So there we go. And he has a nice cool gold border to go with him. But yeah, make sure to get him if you're later in the game and have like near infinite resources. Otherwise, he's a really bad mythic. Just ignore him and go for Wild King. But if you're at the point where you're pretty much have almost everything in the game or literally everything in the game, this is the first time he's been available, so make sure to go and get it, not counting through gold marks. As far as weapons are concerned, the most notable one, of course, is the one that's available tomorrow, as we were mentioning. Make sure to go get yourself the Life and Death. You will not see it on any other day other than tomorrow, so make sure to go get it then. Just double checking that there isn't anything else here, which I just want to make sure. I don't believe there is, but that's pretty much the only thing to remember. Is tomorrow, make sure to go get yourself the Silverglade Life and Death weapon. It is only available tomorrow. You won't see it today. You won't see it any of the other days. So just make sure to get it. Beyond that, I would say go for one, the Explodey weapon, with the best one being that one green-red one, which is Emerald Blade. It's the only one that has resummon, has a bunch of mass explode, just really good overall weapon. You're mostly only using it for Underspire, but if I'm not mistaken, I believe I used it in both the low rarity and high rarity Underspire team. It's just a really solid option as far as what you have for things within this kingdom. There is one other one, not Wild Orb. Where's the Enchant Orb? Or do you get that from something else? There's a really interesting orb here. Maybe I actually get it from Hero Level Up. Never mind. Yeah, I think you get it from Hero Level Up. There's an Enchant Orb that based on enchants on your team ends up creating like 1 billion greens. It's actually a pretty solid weapon. But yeah, you actually get it automatically from leveling up. I forgot, it's not from the rewards here. So yeah, you're mostly just looking for Emerald Blade and for Life and Death specifically tomorrow. Alright, beyond that, we already kind of went over all the other events, but Tuesday's faction event for brown purple restriction, as well as don't forget to go get your Life and Death. Wednesday is one of the old pets from the kingdom. Thursday is the faction event for Archmages, one of the best hero classes in the game. Has 50% mana start and +3 to purple. There's no other hero class that does this. There's a lot of hero classes that have 50% mana start, but only have like +1 or +2 into a color. And there is one other hero class that has a +3, but it does not have 50% mana start. The core 0 hero class. Archmagus is the only hero class that has both a 50% mana start and +3 into a color. So really, really, really good hero class. Is one of the reasons why a lot of teams tend to go pretty purple heavy, as it's by far the most beneficial color when it comes to hero mana accumulation. So it's by far the best caster class in the game. And Friday, as we mentioned, we have Vault Event Weekend on Friday, Saturday, Sunday to go get a bunch of Vault Keys, to go get a bunch of loot from gems to keys to basically almost every loot in the game. Really solid as far as its overall drop table. As we mentioned earlier, don't forget to go do the Halloween event. It is a daily, so you do want to be doing it every single day. All you have to do is go to the event shop, spend your 50 gems here to be able to go and get all the rewards that you want, and just go do the battles. Whenever it tells you to go do an upgrade, make sure you do the upgrade. You can do the Golden Holiday battle whenever you want. It doesn't matter when you end up doing it. And of course, for the earlier battles, you might want to go a little bit more offensive, like a triple Pharaoh Ra into this, or the triple Atlanta into Leprechaun as the low rarity version of this exact same team, and just go and get your damage up immediately, cast, repeat, and good to go. And just keep doing that, upgrade it whenever it says to do an upgrade, and as long as you do that every single day, you'll be able to get all the rewards that you need, which is 1 Witch Armor, 1 Oracle, 7 of the pet, or 6 of the pet, which is 700 total of the points, and then 1 Orb of Power are the main 4 rewards you want to go for, which of course if you already got the Witch Armor, you don't need to end up getting it again, since you've already gotten it from a previous season. And if you don't want to get the Witch Armor, you can always just get it next year. Beyond that, event keys, of course, really relevant, not because of necessarily the drop table itself, but because you're going to need it for the next Silverglade event. There is a Silverglade Guild War if it doesn't get delayed starting on November 6th. So that is what, almost 2 weeks from now, actually, like 2.5 weeks. So definitely make sure to get yourself a solid team for that. Of course, if you already have a solid team, then you might not necessarily need to go do a Silverglade event keying this week. But as far as what is and is not in drop table, if we go to Silverglade, base rarity, show all the following are not in drop table. This includes the 5 faction troops from Silver Necropolis. Those are only from throwing Chaos Shards at Silver Necropolis. I forgot to get the Elven Noble earlier. He is in drop table. I just haven't gotten him for glory yet. But what isn't in drop table is the Sayal Buon. This is only from the Invasion shop, so go spend your 210 gems, whatever you need to get up to the weapon. You'll get your weapon, you'll get a copy of him, and you just plop him on your team. You can either throw 2 blue orbs to go max him out, or simply have him on your team. You do not need to have him ascended at all to get max points. To have better damage on him, you do. But to get max points, you can actually just leave him as is and let your other Invasion Trooper 2 go and do all the carrying for you with their 5 times damage. You do not actually need to upgrade him. Of course, upgrading him is helpful, but it is not required to maximize your points for the Invasion event. But he's only from the Invasion shop this week, though he will be in the next Silverglade event, but not this one. The Magician is only a Vault Key drop table. You just spend Vault Keys from the Vault event this week to go get it whenever you want, or spend it after the fact. And then the only other one not in drop table then is the Gem Dragon, of course, only from the Gem Egg drop table for 500 Dragonite each from Soulforge. And of course the Immortal Selene, which is from the Burning Chest drop table from PvP. Everything else that you see here is in drop table, with the most noteworthy ones being by far the triple damage off of the Tanabomb. This is a very, very... Also, I just realized, where is the... Did I put a wrong team for one of them? Wait! Underspire is... No. I was doing that for the elf team. I was going to say... Okay, never mind. I built the right team. I was just thinking that because I was doing it last night and then I slept on it. It's like, wait. No, the 50% mana start thing I was doing was off the Invasion, which is a different restriction. I was just thinking that because last week it was the same restriction for both, but obviously it's not every week, only for a World event. But, yeah, never mind. Fossil Arm. I was like, wait, what's his name not here? No, it's fine. But anyways, Tangle Bomb. By far the most useful thing in this entire kingdom, oddly enough. He has Impervious and triple damage to entangled enemies while also having a decent amount of scroll damage. He has an ability that's basically Rope Dart, but without the extra turn and armor tier. He deals some damage to an enemy, entangles them, and pulls them the first slot. So whatever you end up targeting will get pulled the first slot while being entangled. This, of course, is very good with the fact he does triple damage to entangled enemies. This is also really good when you combined with the Elementalist hero class, which has the ability to entangle enemies per extra turn, and burn them, and freeze them, and entangle them, and stun them, like everything. And then if you have like Curse or something else, you're already good to go to be able to bypass Impervious and stuff. But yeah, it's really good for just doing a lot of skull damage, and synergizes really good with Elementalists. And guess what they both have in common? They're both Elemental, so you could run it with 50% mana start off from Mirage Queen, which also gives you skull spam to go use the skull damage he has. Works out really well. So a lot of teams with him tends to be Tangle Bomb, Elementalist running like Wand of Stars or whatever else. One other thing for either mana accumulation or even more damage. And then your last slot being Mirage Queen, for that 50% mana start to the 4 elementals that are on your team. Ends up working out really good. You could also use it for Guild War Elemental Defend, or even Guild War Elemental Offense, and or just Elemental Offense in general, I mean, in PvP. But yeah, it's a really solid option, the main thing you're looking for when opening event keys. And of course, with the Guild War coming up, will probably be your first slot for every team. Unless you're using Immortal Slain for it's invulnerable, but realistically, you're probably using Tango Bomb as your first slot for the entirety of the next event. Beyond that, yeah, that's basically it. There are a few mythics that you might be able to pick up that can kind of do a little bit. If you didn't already have Elspeth, you can kind of get that as your Empower. But beyond that, yeah, you're mostly just looking to get yourself a Tango Bomb. As far as mythics, if you do end up picking something out, they're okay, 2 or 3 of them at least. This thing has a little bit of backup resummon while having a little bit of damage. Compared to all the other dragons in the game, including just the Gem Dragon, it's just not really that worthwhile, though, from a damage perspective. But he does end up giving a bunch of magic to all other dragons on your team, which can bolster up your Amethyralis if you're doing a synergy with the 2 of them together. And it also has a resummon of Christinex, which is not that bad of a troop. For a resummon, it's actually a pretty solid resummon, including its 50% score reduction. But it's mostly being used for its resummon more so than anything else, like for its extra magic on dragons and its resummon, as its ability is pretty lackluster otherwise. Queen of Aurora is also pretty interesting, has +1 extra mana accumulation into all 6 colors, so it's basically a 6 mana link instead of a 1. Which is really strong given that heroes have 2 or 3, most troops only have 1, and this has 6. So it's a pretty big difference compared to the average option within the game, giving +1 to every color. Of course, a lot of teams might not necessarily utilize every single one of these extra mana links, but still really solid in that regard. The biggest thing that always has held it back is, for one, it doesn't apply stats effect to itself, and it doesn't have cleanse. Why this thing has never gotten cleanse, I don't know. If this had either do it to all allies and or had cleanse as well, it would actually be among one of the best support options in the game. But its lack of cleanse and its lack of applying the effect to itself is the biggest thing that holds it back, as it will always be hit by every stats effect with no way to get it off, while also not be able to bolster up its stats and not be able to go cleanse for everything else, kind of like how Wand of Stars and some other things can. So it's mostly just used for its final trait, but with all the elementalists and everything else out there, it just gets stunned off so easily with no immune to. It doesn't gain bless, it doesn't gain cleanse, has no way to really go undo the stun. So once it gets stunned, which is really common, it just doesn't do anything, basically. It's just a dead troop just sitting there, so it tends to not get used that much, especially compared to Wand of Stars and other modern options that just do what Queen Aurora does to some degree way, way, way better. It's just not that good of a support troop without those extra utilities. So unfortunately, not really that used. But yeah, you're mostly just looking to get a Tango Bomb, long story short. The only other reason you'd spam a lot of event keys this week, other than to try to get yourself a good team for it, is of course Silverglade is one of the 5 magic kingdoms if you haven't already upgraded it. Good idea to get it to all the milestones, 5-star, 10-star, 20-star, 30-star, as it is permanent magic bonus. It is a really, really, really solid kingdom in that regard. So if you still need to go reach your next magic bonus or try to work towards max magic bonus, this is one of the 5 kingdoms, along with Karkaroth, Zolkari, Blighterlands, and Darkstone is one of the 5 magic-based kingdoms. So definitely make sure to go get a bunch of troops for that if you haven't already finished out those extra stats, or at least work towards it some to be able to go and get those completed. Anyways, let's go buy the Glory Troop. Also, if you haven't already bought one, if you need some event keys, you could get 10 event keys, of course, from the Spoils of War. Normally, I grab this before I record the video, but yeah, if you ever want to get that, it's all the way over here for 180 glory each, 1,800 glory total, and then it disappears after you get it for some reason, not sure why. Whenever you do it, then disappears, but it's right over there in resources all the way to the left. But beyond that, let's go get the new guy real quick. I didn't actually bother getting him earlier. So, Elven Noble, why did we not get him? I believe he's useless. Actually, I forgot to even check his ability. Is he any good? I believe the answer was no. Destroy all yeah, no. He destroys all enraged gems, which is basically destroy maybe a few red gems on the board, and then gives a bunch of life to all allies, boosted by gems destroyed at a ratio nowhere near high enough to justify ever using him, while also having basically no traits. But yeah, he's really bad. The only thing you're using him for is he's +1 easy troop that you can go max out for this kingdom. So he has that going for him. That's by far the most useful thing he has going for him. Is it's going to be even easier to go get your Silverglade kingdom to whatever upgradedness you need, as this is basically a free max upgrade this week, as getting all the copies to ascend him is a very small amount of glory. Trait stones are basically free, and getting the soul scrap together also basically free. So a very solid, easy one upgrade for the kingdom, if nothing else, to make it one step closer to getting it to 30-star if you haven't already completed it. So just a really easy free option to go do that, and as literally his only use case at all is to go get your Silverglade closer to 30-star, as he is so bad. He's in the category of support troop that does not do anywhere near enough to actually be justified to ever be used on a team. He is in a long list of troops, including that Mythic from that kingdom, that just don't do enough support to justify being used as a support troop, which unfortunately just makes them dead content forever. But anyways, guys, that's everything going on this week. Don't forget to go and keep up with the daily, both this week and next week for the Halloween event. It's a pretty solid troop. I'm not sure if I actually showed it earlier, but as far as what it does, it has a either of 1 to 3, so it's pretty random. Its ability is actually not that good. Its traits is where it shines. But it gives a bunch of life and bless all allies, or deal a bunch of damage and curse all enemies, or explode all good gargoyle gems. If it did all of these, it would actually be a really solid trooper. Even if it just did like 2 of these, like deal damage and curse all enemies and have the good gargoyle gem explode or something similar. But if it did all these, it'd be a solid troop. Unfortunately, for 16 mana cost and everything else, doing only 1 of them is pretty inconsistent, and you're not really going to be casting with it. However, it's not that bad in the trait department. It actually has a pretty good triple trait setup. It gains Reflect when it takes damage, which I believe is the first instance of this in the entire game. It's actually a really good trait. It reminds me a lot of gaining Submerge when you take damage. So if they ever add a troop that has Reflect and Submerge, that'd be really funny. If they have a Reflect Submerge on damage troop eventually in the game. But yeah, this is great. There aren't too many good ways to do Reflect, and if you have multiple on your team, you can really do a heavy amount of damage back to the opposing team. Especially if they have some kind of way to heal up or something similar, which, hey, this guy, technically, even though it's not that good, he does have a way to heal, or at least gain life, which is technically more damage that's reflecting back onto the enemy. Has Impervious, so it's not going to need to worry about stats effects as much, and has great good gargoyle gems, which it doesn't necessarily get to do as well because it only has a 1 in 3 chance of popping it. I wish that was just automatic with whatever it did. I wish it was either or choice mechanic between the other two, and it just always did the gargoyle explode. If it did that, it would at least be a little bit more viable. That way you have like a choice between bless or curse, kind of like with Wand of Stars, but would always having a good to explode on gargoyle gem. I wish they would have done it like that to make it at least a little bit more viable, but unfortunately it's not. So you won't guarantee have the gargoyle gem explode. It's only a 1 in 3, which means you need something else on your team that will dependently be able to go and pop it, but that'll probably be whatever your actual mana accumulation is on the team, so it shouldn't be that big a deal. And of course, good gargoyle gems give you random stats, positive stats effects, though of course the enemy can also claim it themselves for positive random stats effects if you don't end up taking it yourself. But it ends up creating good gargoyle gems specifically when an ally casts a spell, so you're really likely to be able to go utilize it if you're constantly landing extra turns, as you'll be able to just go pop it with on your turn from all the extra turns that you did to go and cast. So you'll be able to go do that like 3 times, gain a bunch of extra turns, then go do something to board clear, gain a bunch of positive stats effects to your team, and then, you know, do whatever your finishing blows are. But overall, it's not bad. Really great trait setup. I just wish they would have made the ability just slightly more viable, as in the current state of how it's set up, you're probably never honestly using it. It's just too inconsistent. It's in the slightly too random category to really bother using. But I like the premise of what it's trying to do with this new mechanic, and I'm really curious to see what future troops end up gaining Reflect in the future, as this has a lot of potential to be really good on future things that they put it on. It's just on as far as a first try of what they put it on, it's a really average option. Ability just slightly too weak, even though its trait setup is very, very, very solid. So don't forget to be keeping up with that. Don't forget to get your life and death weapon tomorrow. And don't forget Vault Event weekend this weekend on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Best time to be grinding within the game, particularly on Explore Quick Kill or PvP Quick Kill. But anyways, guys, I'll wrap it up for now. If you still have any other questions, feel free to leave in the comment section below. All the teams we went over, of course, are in the pinned comment and description if you want to go and copy paste any of them. And I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week and a wonderful upcoming Halloween. Goodbye, everyone, and thanks for watching.